Hey everybody, welcome back to another Dead by Daylight video. This week is obviously another React, and we're back with DBD Balance and Beyond. We look at another killer rework, which is going to be Michael Myers. Now, I have done an interview already with a Myers main, and it's not out yet by the time this is, so people haven't seen it. But we do go over a little bit of a rework in there, so I'm curious if any of our ideas that I have in my head were brought into this. Because we had a couple interesting ones, which some are probably going to be controversial takes, but we'll see. As always, the links for the original video are below. Please, 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 please go sub the DBT. Please go sub to them. DBT Balance and Beyond are great. They haven't been as active lately for several reasons. They made a community post about it. But yeah, just please go check them out. And as I say always, if you happen to come across this video and you don't want me making a react to it, let me know, please, and I will take down the other ones. These videos are never monetized. I just do them for fun, and it gives me I want to say, quote, easier video to do once a week. In any case, we'll get into it.
The Halloween chapter is probably the most influential in Dead by Daylight's history. It marked the beginning of licensed crossovers for Dead by Daylight, and since then, Behaviour have slowly built up a roster of characters from books, films, TV shows and games, placing them into a collective universe where we get to play as and against them. With all that said, the killer that got this whole thing started has a design that's seriously outdated. He has
So Myers, fun fact for those who don't know, Behavior actually knew they were getting Myers before the game released. They weren't able to put him in the game first for a lot of reasons, mostly marketing. But Myers did bring the obsession mechanic and a few other things. But I will agree, as much as I think his ability does work thematically, and it does feel like you're playing Michael Myers, it is extremely outdated for several reasons. It isn't just the ability itself. I mean, people have talked up and down about Tombstone, and I hope he brings that up in this.
hasn't received any significant changes in years, and that, I think, is reflected in his placement at the bottom of most tier lists. Today I want to present a rework concept that would streamline this killer's experience by reducing the setup, buffing the payoff, and reworking the majority of his add-ons. All this in hopes of making the killer something more than a walking meme and an OP add-on. Before we start, I wanted to include two segments here to address some points relevant to the video that aren't a direct part of the subject matter today. To avoid these, you can skip ahead to the timestamp shown on screen now.
I'm not skipping, man. I want to hear your lovely voice the whole time. Yeah, I could see fixing the setup time. I think the setup time is one of the biggest issues Myers also has. I do think it's a little overblown how long it takes to get out of tier 1. Oftentimes, you'll get out of it with your first person you find, but you could argue that's time you could have used to just M1 them, and you're not really a full-blown killer until after you get out of tier 1, so, eh. The payoff, honestly, I think tier 3 is fine. I would love it to get buffed in some way, but I think mostly Myers just needs some little tweaks here and there. Tiny little buffs in tier 3, tiny little buffs in tier 2. I'm curious if he'll go into this. My idea for reworking Myers that I've talked to with a Myers main, I almost said fellow Myers main, I'm not a Michael Myers main, is giving him an actual tier 4 where once he drains the survivors fully of stock, all 4 of them, so it's something that wouldn't happen, he gets Tombstone Piece as base kit. Before someone says that sounds OP and super strong, think of it this way: you're almost never going to be in a situation where that happens, because in theory, if you don't drain the survivor before you kill them, you can't ever get it. It would just be a small thematic thing, and I don't think it fixes anything, but I think that would be a way to move Tombstone into his base kit rather than having it be this egregious add-on that makes tier lists almost impossible to do purely because of Michael Myers.
The first point to address is one that Behaviour have themselves raised. Behaviour have stated that they see no issue with this killer given his kill rates. Now, dear viewer, I could make an entire video picking apart the phrase, "we're happy with the kill rates."
Kill rates mean nothing. I know some people hate it when I say that, and other creators say it. Kill rates mean absolutely nothing. I was watching a stream of a friend of the channel, Kaiser DeBard, and they were playing on Erie. I believe it was Erie. They got the generators done, and they caught one person out. They camped that hook, ended up with a 4K. They shouldn't have. Nothing in that situation should have led to a 4K, except for the survivors being stupid. Kill rates mean absolutely nothing, especially on a killer like Myers, who has a way to kind of expedite the process of kill rates. They really don't mean anything.
But that's a video for another day. For now, I'll keep it brief. First off, this killer can secure kills effectively, though that doesn't make him well balanced. The exposed effect of tier 3 means that a player can very effectively camp by 99ing their stalk and sitting near a hook, similar to the cannibal with his chainsaw. This means that he can secure kills through camping, but that doesn't make him potent in chase, the main factor when considering a killer's balance. Second is that his kill rates will be massively skewed by the Tombstone Piece add-on. This add-on allows the killer to kill a survivor without ever hooking them. This, in essence, is the same as tunneling someone out of the game. But with this add-on, you aren't required to go through any anti-tunnel measures such as off-the-record or decisive strike. Killing a survivor off as early as possible massively decreases the odds of the remaining players escaping, as the progress of the game is balanced around 4 survivors, not 3. As a result, it's very likely that the killer will then proceed to get 3 or 4 kills by simply continuing to play the match as normal. This point is something Behaviour should absolutely recognise, as they discuss this point with the whole disconnecting issue and how matches with a disconnecting player have massively skewed kill rates. However,
well, I mean, that's the other thing, because that's why, like, every time we see kill rates come out, a lot of us are dumbfounded, right? Because, like, I think, if I remember correctly, Freddy has one of the highest kill rates in the game, which no one can seem to explain other than new players. But, you know, I'm actually starting to question that argument, because it can't just be new players. We don't get as many new players as I think people realize. Is it just bad players? Maybe, but even then, I don't think people are that bad at this game. Like, Freddy isn't strong. He just isn't. It's almost an objective fact. However, somehow his kill rate is always high. Pig, it's because of the bear traps skewing that a bit, but even then, except for like against really bad players or people who don't know what they're doing, or in very select situations where the pig is forcing the head pop, how often do you actually see someone get a head pop? That's why I'm starting to question these whole kill rate things. And this is why Behavior needs to give us more data. We need to see more data. Like, a lot of the kill rates just don't make any sense.
in matches without this add-on, the killer has a very weak kit, meaning he will likely only get 0 to 1 kills. The mean average is then around the midpoint of these two extremes, and Behaviour think it's fine. In short, your options with this killer are to stomp or get stomped. Not fun for whoever is on the receiving end of the boot, and this is something I'm hoping to address with this rework concept. Another quick segment before we get started. This rework is different to the ones I've done before, and so the formatting of the video may be slightly janky. Rather than proposing changes to the current system, I've simply ripped out the old systems and installed a new one that has the same themes. Presenting these ideas then is slightly more difficult, and I can only apologise if the video is unclear in places. Now, enough of the rambling. I can hear you say, get on with it. My pleasure.
I'm going to say something controversial before he gets into this. Oni is just Myers, but better. Oni is better Myers in almost every way. He's a snowball killer. He forces you to actually heal, so he has inbuilt slowdown. He has map mobility. He's actually terrifying when he's in his dash. More skill expression. Oni is just a better version of mine.
The first part of this killer's power is the setup. At the moment, it requires that you stalk survivors in order to level up into tier 2 and then tier 3. At this point, you can then finally begin chasing survivors. There are several problems with the current setup system as I see it. First is that the time taken to set up is unnecessarily long. The 3-tier system is basically pointless, as you only want to chase survivors in tier 3. Leveling from tier 1 to tier 2 simply adds an extra setup time to the start of a match, the point at which all killers are at their weakest. The second problem is that you have no ability to pressure survivors during your setup phase. Other killers like Oni and Hag will be able to injure survivors whilst they're setting up their power. This in turn buys back some time, as survivors will need to heal. With Myers, you will have likely exerted no pressure by the time your setup is done. This makes the lengthy setup even more painful as it gives survivors pure time to work on generators at basically no cost.
This is true. It's one of the problems technically with Oni too, but Oni, the threat is the inevitability. It's the whole idea of don't give him the first hit because that's just the start, and you're still feeding him the whole time while he's chasing you naturally. With Myers, a lot of times, if he's going for the stock, he's sacrificing getting the hit or adding pressure in some way. And he is a very feast or famine killer. I'm not 100% sure how you would fix it without completely altering the character. I'm curious to see what he has to say about that. The other thing is the whole idea of tier 1 kind of being pointless. I don't think it's pointless in a thematic sense, but from a gameplay sense, yes.
So, what could a new system look like? I'd suggest that Myers now has 2 modes rather than 3 tiers. You start the trial in stalking mode. This mode is pretty simple. You move at 110% movement speed and gain the undetectable status effect. You also have the special ability to stalk survivors, similar to the current system. Whilst in this mode the killer will want to acquire 60 evil. As you can see, evil can be acquired by taking survivor health states or stalking survivors. Any survivor will be able to provide a maximum of 30 evil per setup phase, reset whenever hunting mode is activated. This means that you'll need to acquire evil from at least 2 sources per setup. Once you've filled the power gauge, you will have the ability to manually activate hunting mode. This new system would solve a number of issues. Reduce setup time, increase pressure during setup, and not needing to 99 your stalk and then accidentally activating it too early and the survivor has all that distance and you'd normally last longer than 60 seconds. It's just... Anyway, the point is that this new system would streamline the setup experience and make the killer far more threatening during the setup phase of his power. So, you've filled the power gauge. Now what? The current payoff for activating tier 3 is pretty lame if we're being honest. You get to one-shot people, you have a slightly increased lunge, and get a 15% faster vault speed. These buffs are so minor, you may as well just be an M1 killer. All that setup and your performance is comparable to the Legion, a killer with basically no setup. This all feels a little underwhelming for horror's most iconic killer. So, how are we going to improve upon this aspect of his power? Well, after filling the power gauge and holding the active ability button, you will activate hunting mode. This will trigger a brief animation, after which you gain a whole host of buffs including the following. A 32 meter terror radius, 115% movement speed, break and damage things 15% quicker, vault things 15% quicker, gain 50% longer lunges, recover from successful basic attacks 40% quicker, all survivors suffer from the exposed status effect, and you gain a new ability called elimination. Performing certain actions will drain a fixed amount of evil, and when the gauge reaches 0, you will return to stalking mode. This, in essence...
Alright, I'm already reading this a little bit. I know he'll get into it. Elimination is basically just giving him a Mori base kit. I mean, I think that's fine, and I think it fits for Myers. My only problem with this is I don't think it really, like, fixes the issue, does it? Because there's still that stalking phase. Like, it's more part of the kit rather than, like, a random thing where, like, you're in tier 1 at the beginning of the match, but now that it's inherently part of the kit, it just... I don't know, it seems like... It seems like it's part of the kit. You're still like going into the problem of you can't switch the stances back and forth, right? It's kind of, it's not on a timer so much as on like an action resource base. That I don't know. I kind of like it, but I kind of don't. I'm not sure.
This means that the Shape is no longer bound to a 60-second timer and instead is able to use his power for as long as he has evil remaining. With these changes, I think that the payoff to your effort would be far more impactful. Some bonuses have been buffed and others added in order to increase the threat posed by this killer during his hunting mode. Elimination, as you can see, is a new ability granted to the Shape. Whenever you're standing over a survivor that's on death hook, you can kill them with a quick animation. This action will refund 30 evil and essentially extend the duration of your current hunting mode. Adding this system aims to address a number of issues. Firstly, this will reduce the amount of time spent in your stalking or setup mode towards the end of a trial. Nothing is worse for a setup killer than hearing the exit gates getting powered and losing their power within seconds of each other. By increasing the evil available towards the end of a match, the Shape will remain threatening for longer as the trial reaches its climax. The other point is that I hope to maintain an aspect of Michael's character that, to me, is so awesome. Michael is so evil, he will just flip the entity the bird and kill survivors because he wants to.
I also like thinking in server. I feel like it runs into another problem because it says it's not time based. Um, it means that survivor's only real strategy against it is forcing him to do actions. And the problem with that is that the kid, like, he could leverage that in a lot of situations to make it so he's basically unlimited. You basically have it wouldn't be like direct pressure, but it would be like pressure around the entire map at almost all times. Because out of nowhere, boom, here comes Michael Myers, and you're just dead, right? I don't mind the elimination idea. I think that's fine. I think it fits Michael thematically. And it's not like you would always have it. Like if you're not in hunting mode, then you couldn't do it. If you're not on stage 2, you couldn't do it. But I could also see it being a way to tunnel people out sooner than you already can with Michael. Because in theory, you could wait by the hook, they get the unhook, you down them again. Um, you like even if you're like you could just save your stalker mode for that as you're camping a hook while you're undetectable, right? And then they get down after being on second stage, and then you just kill them, right? There's no flashlight save. Then again, you could argue that's not as bad, or it's basically the same thing as if a killer tunneled regularly. I don't know. Hmm.
At the moment, this is in the form of add-ons that are a nightmare to balance. With this new system, the concept is maintained, that is, Michael's disloyalty to the entity, but without the ability to kill survivors any earlier than usual. Also, this system would mean that survivors can't jump in lockers in order to deny you the evil incarnate achievement, something that has caused an uncountable number of DVD-related brain aneurysms. The
This
final
aged
aspect
well.
of this killer that's in need of some changes is his add-on selection. At the moment, most of his add-ons are between bad and worse, the tombstone piece is way too OP, and many add-ons have repeating effects. Simply put, he needs a complete overhaul to his add-ons in order to consolidate effects, adjust their capabilities, and make them compatible with the new system as I've presented it. Further, with this killer in particular, his add-ons are a bit odd. Most add-ons aren't direct references to the backstory of this killer. Instead, they're tied to vague themes like jewelry or hair. An add-on rework should probably make add-ons that are more directly linked to the backstory of this killer, with references that fans of the franchise will appreciate. Love the overview, Cameron, I hear you say, but who would go through the effort of reworking all these add-ons? Lucky for you, viewer, I have a pathological need to avoid touching grass.
Yes,
Let's get on with
as
it.
you do in every video.
Hi, this is Cameron from the future jumping in here to say that some of the pictures don't directly match the add-on titles here. I can only apologise and simply say it was these close equivalents, or I drew my own on MS Paint. The first of the brown add-ons is the tacky earrings. This add-on has simply been majorly buffed with the effect of other add-ons in the same vein added to this one. Next is the boyfriend's memo. This one's a new wave meme add-on. It's basically a reference to the current tier 2 Myers and makes chases during stalking mode more viable at the cost of some stealth. The Memorial Flower now increases the evil yield from basic attacks. This will take the yield from 25 evil per hit to 30. This means that 2 hits from different survivors is all it would take to fill the power gauge. The Jack-o'-lantern is the first of the new add-ons. This one reduces the time taken to activate hunting mode by 0.75 seconds, taking it from 2.5 seconds to 1.75 seconds. Useful if you get the drop on a survivor. Starting off the yellow add-ons is the knitting needle. This one simply reduces the duration of pallet stuns during hunting mode.
You know, I didn't even think about this. He basically just made him Oni. He's Oni without a timer. I didn't even think about that. Which I don't think is a bad idea inherently, but yeah, he literally just made him Oni without a timer. Because you can get evil by hitting people, and then you can self-activate the ability. I don't know how I feel about that. Because I guess unlike Oni, you don't have the movement speed, but you have... Survivors can't really dodge your basic attack, because it's the basic attack. And it's unlimited as long as you don't really do anything.
The Mechanics Wrench is another new add-on. This one doubles the regression applied by kicking a generator during hunting mode. Now though, it incurs a small cost. The car keys simply reduce the cost of inflicting dying by 33%. This takes the cost down from 15 evil to 10. The stolen rope grants evil for hooking a survivor. The evil granted is based on which mode you're currently in. The dead rabbit has been reworked. It now acts as some simple tracking when you activate hunting mode, possibly useful for setting up potential snowballs.
I like that.
The first of the green add-ons is the first knife. This one simply adds sloppy butcher to your attacks during hunting mode, useful for creating
Minor spelling mistake. I see you. That is not how you spell hemorrhage.
slowdown or can be used in conjunction with healing-based perks. Judith's Journal has been reworked into a slowdown add-on, though it maintains its obsession-based mechanic. Now, stalking the obsession for 25 evil will act as a mini pain resonance.
Interesting.
The prison handcuffs are a new add-on that provides some snowball potential. It somewhat mimics the effects of forced hesitation, but without being as niche. The J. Myers Memorial has essentially been buffed. The evil gained from stalking is now increased from 9 evil per second to 12 evil per second. The hairbow has had its effects transferred to the new system, so rather than providing additional time, it instead provides additional evil, but requires the same additional setup. Bob's classes provide aura reading that's comparable to Hex Retribution, providing some chase and snowball potential at the start of your hunting mode if you make sure to stalk all the survivors. The Tombstone piece has been entirely reworked. No longer will it remove a survivor from the match earlier than usual. Instead, it improves the potential evil yield for performing an elimination. Lester's corpse provides some stealth potential for a short while after initiating hunting mode. The revolver round is a bit of a unique add-on. It now allows you to gain evil by stalking survivors' auras when they're revealed to you, though with a lower yield.
That is an interesting add-on, and a type of add-on we don't see very often. This is one that would basically only work with certain perk builds, and I don't mean like, oh, this only works because it synergizes with it. Like, this would require other things for it to work. That's interesting. I like this. I like this idea.
Evil by stalking survivors' auras when they're revealed to you, though with a lower yield. The Iridescent Vanity Mirror is the first of the ultra-rare add-ons. It now acts as a straight upgrade to the current Scratched Mirror. It mimics the same effect, but now Myers will be moving at 110%, meaning that chases can sometimes be committed to. The other ultra-rare is, of course, Judith's Tombstone. Now, however, it acts like the old fragrant tuft of hair by increasing the evil required to activate hunting mode, but also making hunting mode permanent once activated. Performing an elimination would normally be useless if this is the case, so now, performing an elimination doubles the hunting mode buffs for...
I could see this becoming a problem. I know tier 3 Myers, even with this rework, like the hunting mode, isn't that immense, but I do think people forget that unlimited tier 3 Myers can be a snowballing monster sometimes in the right situations, and I can understand why it is a problematic thing. I can also see camping becoming a huge problem with this. Proxy camping and tunneling with it. Not straight off hook, but even if you let someone go heal, you can just immediately down them again. Especially if you can combine it with one of the aura ones or some other perks and whatnot.
For a short duration. In total, this add-on rework hopes to greatly improve the potential of the killer's power, given that it essentially boils down to a buffed M1 killer. These add-ons seek to either improve the ease of setup or the impact of the payoff, and allow for smart killers to really pressure survivors in certain situations. Overall, I believe that an add-on selection such as this would allow for a variety of playstyles and encourage players to experiment with different synergies, making matches more intense and unpredictable. That's it for this one. I've tried something a bit different for this video. Rather than talking about changes, I've simply presented a new system for refining the killer's power. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment, send an email.
I see where he's going with this. The idea of having the switching stances. Like I said, it's basically just making him Oni, but as an M1. And one, I think that gets away from kind of the uniqueness of Myers. It still keeps with the theme, but I don't know. I feel like there's better ways to do it. I'm not even saying my idea is necessarily a better way to do it either, but I can still see problems with this. And the biggest one is the fact that Evil Within, or the hunting mode, isn't on a timer. I think that is a huge balancing decision that Behavior has done to a lot of powers similar to this. From Plague to Oni to even Ghostface, because the idea of a killer being this powerful and having all of these effects for basically forever, uh, just they can leverage that. I feel too much to hurt the survivors, make them be put in basically unwinnable situations, way too often and too easily. Cough, cough, scamper on Chucky. Behavior nerf scamper, please. Um, it's not the worst idea I've ever heard of, though, honestly speaking. But yeah, in any case, guys, as always, the link to the video will be below. You guys should go watch it and sub, please. I love y'all. I'll see y'all in the next one. Tell me what you guys think. Yeah, have a good one. Bye.